So we'll call this meeting to order. Our first agenda item is to congratulate Madison on receiving her the Hubbardston Public Library Scholarship. We were just so pleased with your application. Just the way that you talked about going to the library with your grandfather as a kid and just like doing a tour not only of Massachusetts but sometimes going out of state as well, to explore libraries, really kind of just, you know, showed us like your love for libraries, right? And I have to say too, like as you talked about like your passion for like drawing and for being an author, and how you started using library materials, like requesting books on how to draw and requesting books on manga books, right?
Yeah.
And so to help you kind of develop what your career goals are, like that is kind of like the epitome of what libraries are meant to be, you know? I mean, there have been many of people who have not been able to go to college and have gotten their education through libraries, right? And you have started that path, and you're even more fortunate because you're going to college, right? You're going to Champlain, you're going to major in creative writing, you're going to pursue your career and goals as an author and illustrator. So we were just so pleased, and I think as we reviewed the applications, we were just so happy that we could give you some money to help fund your next journey into college.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. And I just want to say, like I mentioned, I'm the librarian, Chris is a librarian, Chris is a librarian, Chris is a librarian. So like, when you go to Champlain,
You used to be a librarian.
I did.
She
You
used
were
to
a
be-
librarian.
Oh.
So okay, so there's
Okay.
a whole slew of librarians in this room right now.
Can't get
out of
So we're all
read.
gonna kind of. But I just would encourage you that when you get to Champlain and find your university library, which, as your mom was saying, has got this beautiful patio overlooking a lake, like find your spot in the library. You know, like make it a habit to go to the library. So after a class, you know, if you have a break between class, go to the library, and whether you want to rewrite notes from a previous class, or if you just want to just chill out, put on headphones and just listen to music or whatever, but make that a spot that you go to like on a pattern.
Yeah.
I can say that I've seen students in my experience, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, at 10 a.m. they'll be at the same seat, like every single day, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because that's what they do. Like I come to the library at this point. So I just encourage you to kind of take advantage of that, and also try and utilize the librarians at your college, because they want you to succeed. You know, that is the ultimate goal of why they're there, is to help support you through the research process and all of that. So never, a lot of times people have anxiety about going to libraries or about approaching librarians for help. Like, don't ever feel like that, like, because they are there to help you, to support you. So I think on behalf of all the trustees, like, I just want to wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
And we're so excited to see you go on to this next path in your career. So,
Thank you.
yeah. And so with that, first, you know, here is a check to help, you know, cover your textbook costs.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Oh.
Go take a picture with
Yeah, if we can get a picture, that would be great, so.
Would you also send us your books?
Oh, yes,
Right.
I really hope one day one of my books ends up in the library.
local
We do
author
too.
stamp on it.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Absolutely. Alright, if you guys could all stand up and stand up against the wall.
Should we do it right there underneath the Hubbardston
There you
library?
go, right
the
over
Hubbardston
there.
seal?
Sure.
That might be good.
Ooh.
She's better at coming up with design.
You got it?
I got it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think we probably have to squeeze in a little bit.
Yeah, everybody squeeze in like you like each other. Just squeeze it.
Try not to stand in
I'm
near the
sorry.
ornery.
You wanna switch?
Yeah.
I won't like.
Alright,
Should've
ready?
made a big check.
Everybody
I know,
smile.
right?
Cheeseburgers.
Cheeseburgers.
Alright, thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
and good luck.
Thank you so much.
I very much enjoy having your daughter come into the library.
she enjoys it.
That's great, it works out, it's a
Oh,
win-win for
Madison
both
with
of
the
us.
big fat stack of books that
Yes.
we
Yes,
hold? Okay,
she's
now I
the
have
one.
a face to the name.
The big book bag
Fat
that, you know, is
stacks.
overflowing.
Book bags.
Now two.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
she'll be back for a couple weeks in December. She's got like a month, a little over a month and a half off.
So
I'm sure she'll be up at the library.
I will.
Good
I
to hear.
will.
She'll be reserving her books before she comes home, so they
I got the app on my phone.
Yeah, that's great.
We appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so
Madison,
again,
good luck.
yeah,
Thank you.
you guys
Thank
are welcome to stay, but, you know, you're also welcome to depart, so.
Wanna stick around for a little while, we'll see what this is all about?
Yeah,
She
sure, I
kinda
will.
wants to, she's
Yeah.
interested in
Yeah.
being a part of it at some point in her life, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
you're welcome back too.
Yeah, I'll scooch down just a little bit, so I'm not kind of blocking everybody, so. Alright,
Yeah.
so we are struggling with some technical difficulties, so I can't project onto the screen. Okay. But we will kind of proceed from there. So, let's see, let me just pull the agenda real quick. I think next up is the director's report. So Chris, you're on.
Alright.
Do you know how to connect with the Chromebook?
Alright, director's report for July 2024. We had 0 curbside pickups, 403 patrons. We had 0 classes of students visiting because students will not begin their visits until late September, early October. Storytime attendees, we had 69 adults, 158 children, for a total attendance of 227. We had 10 events, storytime events in July. For the Dungeons and Dragons program, we had 2 events with 16 attendees total. For volunteers, we had 4 with 14 visits with a total of 35 hours for the month. Not Just Knitting had 0 events, at least at the library that I know of. We issued 9 new cards. For Facebook, we had a page reach in July of 3,159. Total page likes in July was 884. Page followers, I'm sorry?
I think they're just.
Oh, okay, they're talking, oh, okay, sorry. Page followers was 1,005, with Facebook page visits of 509. For Instagram, we had a page reach of 35, with 165 followers, and 11 profile visits for the month of July. The most popular Facebook post was the Hubbardston Fire Department Storytime with 1,591, followed by the Hidden Meadow Storytime post at 746. Wi-Fi connections in the library was 84, and we had 422 websites visits in July. For Hubbardston items that were circulated regardless of location was 1,175. All items circulated at Hubbardston regardless of ownership, 1,275. We had 372 requested holds for the month. Total number of patrons registered at Hubbardston is 1,449. Total number of items is 11,501. For the overdrive, which is the e-accounts, or electronic accounts, we had 630 checkouts, and we have 375 holds on overdrive, which is a breakdown of 151 e-audio holds and 224 e-book holds. The library was closed on July 4th in honor of the 4th of July. The library opened at 3 p.m. on Monday, July 15th for the Town Staff Appreciation Barbecue hosted by the Select Board. On Wednesday, July 24th, Postmaster Tricia Dursa came to the library at Storytime. She dedicated a Shel Silverstein special stamp to the children's reading room. We knew that this would be a wonderful way to remind patrons that the children's reading room was originally the Hubbardston Post Office until the relocation across the street in the 1960s. The Shel Silverstein book, The Giving Tree, was then read for Storytime that day. The Senior Book Club met on July 24th at 11 a.m. to discuss The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes. There were 6 in attendance. The book for August will be The Dutch House by Anne Patchett, and I spelled her name wrong, there's no E. The The meeting will occur on Wednesday, August 28th, 2024 at 11 a.m. at the Senior Center in the Slade Building at 7 Main Street. The display for the adult and children's reading room for July emphasized going outdoors. Judy O'Donnell of the Wachusett Medical Reserve Corps has offered a number of books that, wow, to display in the library to do with the internet safety and constant cell phone usage by children. They are on one side of our 4-sided display in the adult reading room. The displays for August in the children's reading room will be back to school, and the adult reading room will offer items from our homeschool and continuing education collection. We have also put up our annual road race t-shirt display on the mezzanine to highlight the 27th annual 5K road race on September 7th, 2024 at 9 a.m. sharp. Finally, I have received my certificate of special training on basic library techniques.
You kept that under wraps.
Thank you. From the MBLC. This completes the MBLC/state requirements for a library director for a town with a population under 10,000. Respectfully submitted by Christine Barbera, with the addendum that there is a page that breaks down the pages that people visited on the website, and I still don't have updated numbers, so I will, as soon as I get that, I will update the financial report and forward it to everybody. And that's it.
Question for the library director, the ERS report, has that been signed and submitted?
It has been signed, it has been submitted, and it's good to go. No
Fantastic.
errors.
Thank you. Questions about the director's report? No. Okay. Again, I just wanna, congratulations, Chris.
Thank you.
That has been a, 5-year
Yes.
process, so,
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
so to, to continue to complete that, I'm happy, so.
They have since updated it now, and it's gonna be, a little more, not so required to be spring and fall. It's gonna be all online, so you do it at your own pace type of thing, so.
So was it like a lot of different classes that you had to
There was a total of 4 mini classes. One was collection development, administration, cataloging, and I'm drawing a blank on the last one that I did. I do have all the certificates, I just don't remember what the
It's like acquisitions or something? Programming? Collection development?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I'll look it up and I'll get that
No,
to you.
it's fine. I'm just curious. It's great. It's really great.
So, and I also just, for those watching at home or for you here as well, Chris also went back and got her bachelor's degree in order to be able to be library director, because that was a requirement for it. So, so this has been a Herculean effort on her part, and so, congratulations.
Thank you. You will also wanna get your Storytime leader update for all of the stuff, which I chose not to do so that she
Okay,
could.
Storytime leader update.
Okay,
But it is some
so-
exciting stuff, so.
Yes. For the Storytime team program, so regular Storytime, we had 76 people. It breaks down to 51 kids and 5 adults for the month of July. The Dragonflower Truck Storytime, we had 51 people. We had 40 kids and 11 adults. The East Quabbin Land Trust Hidden Meadow Storytime, we had 66 people, 49 kids, and 17 adults. After collaborating with the Champions program this summer over at the school, we were able to amplify Storytime so much that two Storytimes had to be held on the Hidden Meadow Storytime on July 17th to be able to accommodate the utter chaos. The Dungeons and Dragons program has been increasingly successful. We've had regular attendees with new kids coming and going as we designed the program to be. We had on July 12th we had 8 kids, and on July 26th we had an additional 8 kids. Those are great numbers because if they get any bigger, then I would have to pull in another DM. Because the party size, if they had any kind of encounter with a monster, to have 8 kids now having to take turns to defeat something, by the time you get to kid 3, the monster's dead. You can't kill it anymore. Yes.
What's a DM?
Oh, a DM is a dungeon master. So I run the program. I run the story. I come up with the story. I help create I create the monsters. I've been creating characters for our new friends who've never played before. They're with support. I'm bringing you guys up to. This has been an ongoing pet project. Dungeons and Dragons, Wizards of the Coast actually donated to our library what is called a war chest. So they gave me a campaign pre-made. They gave me dice. They gave me character sheets. They gave me books. They gave me online resources. My whole program is through their applications, D&D Beyond. That was free to me. Usually it costs, subscription-wise, it costs a pretty penny, but they waived the fee completely so that I can have the kids use my D&D Beyond to access materials that they need. So that's been going really, really well. So some special upcoming story times now that the July is over. It was a big month. July is gonna slow down a little bit because it's a big vacation week for friends, and August 28th is the first day back to school, which I'm looking forward to more and more every day. So upcoming some stuff to upcoming Wednesday, August 7th, weather permitting. Jurassic is taking over Storytime with special guests featuring a Jurassic Park Jeep or two, and I'm bringing a Velociraptor into the library. Not a llama, but a Velociraptor. So that is going to be on August 7th. That is but generously courtesy of Mr. Bill Shea. Town meeting story time once again will be available for special town meeting on August 22nd. I have a bigger plan to accommodate not just our young friends, but even though our friends who are not able to vote yet. That way childcare is completely covered. Nobody has to leave their teens at home and worry about what they're doing on a Thursday night. I haven't picked a theme yet, but I have sectioned it out so that I will have one section of the cafeteria for our young friends. The middle will be from like 6 to 8, and then at the end with teens and stuff like that, I will have tabletop gaming ready to go. Either they can play by themselves or they can play with a group of friends. And last but not least, two last things. Dungeons and Dragons is still going to be in August. The young adventurers are off to try their hand at defeating Eris, the goddess of chaos, and her golden apple. Each adventurer will be given a god or goddess as their parent and will be given powers based on whoever they pull out of the hat, who their parent is. So they're all looking forward to that. I'll actually let them vote at the last D&D, and this is what they wanted to do, so it should be exciting. And then last but not least, I collaborated with the Open Space Committee for a storybook trail here in Hubbardston. It will be on Malone Road, in the Malone Road Conservation Area, which that trail will soon be ADA compliant within either the next year or two. So it'll be easier for parents with strollers to go and adventure on. It will be fully installed after the construction of the poles this weekend. I have voluntold my husband and my father-in-law that they will be building things this weekend. I received digital copies straight from the author herself, Charlotte Osprey. Her story, The Quiet Forest. I reached out to her on a whim, and I was not expecting this overabundance of support. So she sent them to me herself with permission from the publisher, and her parents actually only live an hour from here. So they will be coming to when it's installed. The poles were generously donated from Sawmill 7 on Williamsville Road. And that's about it, except I plan on having a special Saturday hike once it's in place. Instead of a story time at the library, we're gonna do a special Saturday hike to get family, friends out there to see it and where it is. Again, I'll collaborate with the Open Space Committee and the trustees to bring, so the Saturday Storytime Trail with chatter and chaos of little bookworms, and then if it is a success, I fully intend on applying for grants to help fund this project completely, back to front, so. And that's about it.
Do you want to talk about the grant visit on Wednesday?
Okay, so the reason why I also planned the Jurassic story time on that Wednesday, and fingers crossed everyone, because I didn't expect to make it to the second round, with the final round of a grant from the Greater Worcester Community Foundation for Storytime. They are actually going to come to us at the library to see the library, which usually grants are either via Zoom or you go to them. They're coming to us to see the library and see what we do. So they're meeting with me, Chris, and Connie to go over the grant and show them what we've done and how Hubbardston, Storytime especially, Hubbardston in general is just known for punching way above their weight class for far as long as we possibly can. That's why I'm having the Jurassic Storytime, because that will really show them what at the top tier of what we can do and how many kids we can pull from not just Hubbardston, but we pull from Gardner, we pull from Barry, we pull from New Braintree, we have parents come from Holden and Rutland and all of that. So their big focus for this grant is Worcester County and supporting Worcester County, and I think that Hubbardston Public Library is a big supporter of Worcester County. So they're gonna be meeting with us on Wednesday, August 7th at 11:30, so right after story time. It'll still be kinda chaotic. Mr. Shea offered to stick around so that they will be able to see the Jurassic Park Jeeps and the kids' joy and all of that, which is really important to me. So I'll have a small presentation. They want it to be completely informal, really relaxed. So I'll have a small presentation to show them what we do and how it'll fund. I asked for $20,000. So that will fund Storytime, not just personnel and utilities and stuff like that, but it'll help pay for supplies. I'll be able to do more, bring in entertainers and other things like that, like an animal show or a raptor show or something like that, something that's a little bit more expensive, but I know that will really benefit the kids. On top of that, being able to supply them with more STEM activities and things that cost a little bit more. Everything these days costs a little bit more, so this will help cover Storytime in general, I think. So I'm excited.
Very
I'm nervous,
excited.
but I'm
Very
excited.
excited we got to the second round, so that's great.
Is it a one-year grant?
It's a full year grant, but I think it's got one of those extended lives that if you apply for it once, it's kind of a something.
But if you
that
don't
get.
spend it all, you can carry it through.
You can carry it through, yeah. But I think with everything costing as much as it does, I think that 20,000 will go quickly.
Can you email me your notes?
Of course.
That would be helpful.
Of course.
Great, so lots of exciting things happening
Yeah,
at the
that's
library.
really great.
So. Any comments?
I wanna be a kid again.
Well, you can still come,
You
that's
can-
what I've
you
told
can brag
parents.
about your older
Parents
boy.
have reached out asking if there's an age limit on story time, and my big thing is nobody ages out of story time. So that's why I try to do things like the Jurassic Park and all of that, is to encourage even our older kids maybe just to feel like a kid again. So all ages are welcome, and I truly mean it.
When does the garden thing open?
The storybook trail,
Yeah.
I'm still in the middle of constructing it, but I'm hoping to have it done actually next weekend and out on the trail. But plywood is expensive, so I've been doing it piecemeal just because plywood is still pretty expensive and I need really big sheets of it. I also only have a tiny little Maverick, so I usually have to beg, borrow, and steal my guy friend's bigger truck so we can get the plywood to the house safely. So, but it should be, everything's getting constructed, printed, and laminated this weekend, and then everything should be able to go out. It's 20 buckets of cement that have to go out on the trail because it has to be temporary as of right now because they're gonna be constructing this trail, and I want it to be able to be moved off the trail once the snow starts to fly. I plan on doing this well into the fall. The books will change every month. And then during the winter it'll go away, and then the spring solstice is when I fully intend on bringing it back out if Mother Nature decides to cooperate.
So are you saying you're funding this yourself? I
Hi,
mean,
yes.
like,
Yep.
we might be able to do something
Well,
about
if
it.
you want, but it was my brainchild, and The poles, like I said, were donated. I actually put in for a grant through Tractor Supply, believe it or not, for the cement and buckets. I haven't heard back, so I think I might just go ahead.
If you need buckets, I have plenty of buckets.
We're doing metal buckets just because I'm
Oh,
afraid
metal
of the
buckets.
plastic ones with the concrete in them. If they actually get knocked over, because the winds can get really high up on Malone Road, I'm afraid if they get knocked over, they're going to shatter, and then I've got plastic and stuff in the woods that's going to create a mess. And the metal holds the galvanized will hold the test of time. Once the trail is completely done, we have talked with the open space committee that we're going to get permanent poles with the permanent books. They look like books. They're cases that I will have a key to that I can open and shut, and they're completely weather tight. But they're $4,000. So that will be a grant.
And you're aware of the butterfly garden up there?
Yep, I'm aware of the butterfly garden. So once it's in full bloom, the book will match the butterfly garden actually, because Katie Young is.
That was her golden one.
No, I
Your
saw
bride
her.
troop.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
Okay.
perfect. Yeah. So
Yes.
we've been in talks, me and Katie. So.
Okay.
She'll steal you.
Do we have money out of the state fund to pay for anything,
Or donations.
or donations?
Or donation.
Either
So-
one.
So I think you don't need to fund this on your own, like, just submit your receipts to us and we will pay for it,
Okay.
so.
But I need to get a little plaque for Sawmill 7 to thank
Yeah.
them
Yep,
for
absolutely.
donating and Charlotte for at least the first one for donating her book to the
Yeah.
she's sending a signed copy to the library to have in our collections.
I think that would be great. It would be nice if the trustees, if we signed and sent a card back to the authors too, and
Yes.
if we feature that as a, like, Facebook
Yep.
post, things like that, and all the acknowledgements.
It's exciting, and I'm excited because it came to me in an idea, and I've been to them with the kids. Tower Hill does one every year in collaboration with, I think, the library out of.
Morgan has been asking for one for a few years now, so.
Hi, I did it. I'm hopefully down the road we'll have a permanent one.
I love the location too. It's walking distance. We go there all the time.
Yeah, it's perfect, and the outlook to Dottie Rock is absolutely
Yeah.
gorgeous, and it's an easy trail for young families.
Yeah.
Hubbardston that's our moniker, is that Hubbardston doesn't own Hubbardston, it's all state forest. So, I did get permission from the County Land Trust for it, though. I did, Mark Kresge and I reached out, and they gave us their blessing for it, so.
Is North County Land Trust? on
Malone Road is North County Land Trust. I know it's hard to keep track of who does what.
Alright, I'm gonna move this along, just so
Sorry,
we do have a
sorry,
big
sorry.
agenda item.
Great updates.
So yeah,
Yeah,
excellent,
thank
this
you.
is very exciting stuff that's happening. Did everyone have a chance to review the meeting minutes from July?
I did, and I sent a note. I thought they were great.
As always, right?
Yeah.
Any changes or corrections that needed to be made?
I didn't see any.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve the July 2024 minutes.
Okay, second, Tom seconds, all in favor? All opposed? I think it's 5-0 because Chris was not appointed yet in July.
So I
but
can't vote on
you can't vote on it 'cause you were a guest,
501.
but 5-0, 5-0-0 actually, because we were only at 5.
Oh, 5, okay.
Yeah. But we should also just take a moment now and just recognize that Chris has officially been appointed as a trustee, so we are now at full trustee staff. And Chris has been hard at work already, joining Krista, me and Chris. There's a lot of Ks right now going on our committee, working on the, draft strategic plan, which is the segue to reviewing the draft strategic plan that, the small working group has been working on.
Can't figure out why we can't show
I don't
this.
know either.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can.
What is it we need
What
to
happened to
see?
the old fashioned flamethrower?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess we could share, well, cause you have it there, so that's.
So,
Does everybody have it printed out?
I have it printed. I will jump into one of my Stand
Thank
out.
you so much.
all.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you for the
Congratulations.
scholarship and letting me sit in.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This was extremely enjoyable.
Good. Take care.
Wow. I don't even know which is the right one.
It's the small Roku remote. It's that tiny little thing.
But does everybody have a paper copy or?
If
Or
not, I
read
can
it.
print some because my
See it.
computer's right yonder.
Does everyone have a copy that they can review?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, based off of last month's meeting where we talked about and kind of defined the goals for the strategic plan and came up with some loose strategies that would accompany them. Chris, and I have met twice to kind of flush out the strategies. And then underneath each strategy, there are some bullet points that are kind of like action items. We didn't really define them, but things that could be done to meet that strategy. So I think the goal for tonight is to
Extra copy.
talk through goal strategies, the bullet points, to see if how they feel to everybody, and then what changes you recommend. And then we will go back and kind of finalize and then put the strategic plan into a like a more formal document. So that's kind of where our goals are for tonight. Does it feel okay if we just kind of work through each goal strategy and just not, so we're not jumping around and just kind of seeing like what works and what doesn't work?
Yep.
Okay. Alright, so the first goal was one of the ones we had talked about, which is expanding collaborations, communications, and outreach. So we kind of lumped collaborations, communication, and outreach together. I think initially, and the document I'm currently looking at is the clean copy. You're welcome to look at the dirty copy. So, you know, that shows all of our notes and our thoughts, but this is probably easier to review. They ended up kind of getting clumped together, collaborations, communication, outreach, because there was a lot of overlap. And then I think we also found when we were working through other parts of the plan, we were seeing a lot of redundancies. So we came up with the goal statement of Hubbardston Public Library will explore collaborations and outreach opportunities with local community organizations, local public libraries, and individuals. And with a strategy of making connections with the community. I'm not gonna read all of the bullet points, but I will pause and just see if there's any comments about
I just have
this.
one
Yep.
very small question. What's CERT stand for?
Citizens Emergency Response Team.
I can type that in.
And so that was listed there because we had talked to them earlier in the year, and I can let Morgan talk more about this, about a
Kiosk.
A kiosk, thank you, yes.
Some libraries have an emergency kiosk that can serve as like a satellite receiver for connectivity. So I'll go back to the ice storm, but other instances in which the town may be in an emergency situation to where people might need to connect. Some of the kiosks also provide just resources as education. So Hubbardston is identified as wind prone, so over the coming years, wind will be likely an issue, or results of high winds, and other similar forest fires. So those are the two big ones that come to mind.
And wouldn't they do that at the police department or?
So those are some collaborations that are that we speak with. One of the limitations is that our police do not have much of a reception room or public interaction in that regard to where, for that.
I think it's like training citizens to help out with disaster.
CERT itself
Right.
is.
Yeah.
The kiosk is like a small
Oh.
rotating kiosk.
Thank you. I would also mention that the bullet points are not like things that we have to do.
Mhm.
They're suggestions of opportunities that we could explore as well.
And it's through, so Judy O'Donnell is the town's emergency personnel director, I think. I don't know the exact title, but emergency director, and she is the medical reserve corps. She's also the director of our CERT.
So are there any suggestions or comments or changes that kind of struck you as like didn't quite seem right? Or you think something should be added?
I don't think anything's standing out as does not belong or anything that is standing out that misses. Having read it in general, I feel like they were all very well grouped together. I think it was just a matter of what stood out to me was just going through it with a fine tooth font size
Yep,
and
yep,
similarities.
absolutely.
That was
Yes.
really, that's the only thing. Otherwise, I think it was very well organized the way you guys pulled it together. And those were my thoughts.
Are we just talking about strategy one right now?
Strategy 2 is library trustees and staff will keep the community informed and solicit feedback about library related issues. Oh, this needs a little wording there. It's about being transparent through regular communication, so a little editing needs to happen there. This initially, parts of this were in goal 5, and then I think we pulled it up to goal 1, just because it felt like disjointed a little bit, so.
I was wondering if we wanted to combine strategies 2 and 3. And maybe we don't wanna talk about it at that level tonight, but I feel like we have a lot of,
One of the advantages of having them as separate strategies though is if you, I would consider consolidation if your bullet points below could be either consolidated and or
so there's
a
not
couple
too
could
many
be
bullet points, yeah.
eliminated so that we don't have too many
Yeah.
under each strategy.
Yeah. No, I can see that.
I'm okay with them separate because I think there's a different focus. One is the
Mhm.
community and the general public, and the other is focusing right in with elected officials.
Okay.
In fact, I would add a bullet that I thought we had a select board representative
The
to
liaison.
this, or liaison or something.
If you read bullet number 4 at the bottom.
I didn't, oh, I'm sorry, I missed it, I saw the select board
Yeah.
report, but I missed that word liaison,
Yeah, I think that's.
that's fine.
But I like the way you think, Tom. So, 'cause
Huh.
that's
One of the few.
The one thing that I was thinking is if anything, strategy number 4 might fit more with 2, of like with schools, and internships, if internships is specifically separate, but seeking out internships possibly within schools as one line item under strategy number 2.
Yeah, 'cause it's a little uneven, there's a whole strategy with just a couple of very specific things under it, which could be fun, so maybe.
So you're suggesting moving explore internship opportunities to a bullet point under strategy 2?
That's what I would propose.
I'm okay with that.
How do the other trustees feel about that?
I'm fine with it. Are we,
Do you
Are
want
we
to,
making
a
edits?
live edit, or is that too much?
I don't mind doing it, let me just make a copy of it though, so we still.
I could just make notes too of just
No,
what we're going to do.
I think it should be okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Okay, so we're moving, basically we're moving strategy 4 as a bullet point under strategy,
Under strategy
strategy 2,
two.
okay. Got it.
A suggestion there though, because then it becomes 3. So if we're doing that, I would just take it and turn it into like,
Yeah, just get rid of this. Is that-
well, I would almost take away both of those and just say explore internships so that we don't have 3 bullet points.
Oh, right, so the explore internship opportunities is the only bullet point that goes under strategy 2.
Okay.
Exactly.
And then the 2 bullet points, contact Quabbin and develop a position description would go away.
Go away, okay,
Just knowing that that's something we would have to do.
right, okay.
Exactly,
Before we
because
come
then
forward.
it might even be other students, again, with our reach, it could be a Narragansett student or a homeschool student.
Right.
I have an Narragansett student in my D&D program.
Okay, I just made a copy of the
Okay.
one you're all looking
Okay.
at, so.
Great.
Because otherwise it would be confusing.
So with a little bit of wordsmithing, cleaning up some language, goal 1 sounds okay?
Yep.
Goal 2 is library programs. Overarching goal, the Hubbardston Public Library provides cultural, educational, engaging, and relevant programming to support lifelong learning. With strategy 1 is to be increased programming for all audiences, children's, adults, seniors, teens, tweens, and families. We initially had different strategies for like children's program and then other programming, but we decided just to put them all into one type of program with the idea of maintaining the existing early childhood story time and offer Saturday programs when possible. And then kind of increasing programs in the other categories.
I think we should just change the order of these groups,
Okay.
but that's a minor thing.
Changing the order of what.
Well, we have
groups.
children, adults,
Oh, like-
seniors, teens, tweens, you know, just kind of,
So put 'em-
Organizing
put
the
'em
bullet
in
maybe by
order-
age
order
or
by
something,
age.
I don't know,
Yes,
just
yeah,
so
no,
it's
that
on the
makes
list.
sense to order them by age.
I think that,
so.
yeah, organization, changing font and wordsmithing, just going through there a couple of things, but that,
Well, we're
the
good,
content itself looks really cohesive and appropriate.
I think the subcommittee agreed to meet on Monday, so like if you have handwritten notes or anything, we can take those.
Should I give you mine?
Yeah.
Maybe you can read.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, so strategy 1 is the idea of increasing program. Strategy 2 is publicizing the program to increase attendance. And so that is more about the promotion and the ways to assess by tracking attendance, and evaluating the effectiveness of the publicity, not of the program itself.
Possibly under publicizing programs, finding an appropriate means of collecting feedback from our community, I think would be a useful tool to find out, and I think part of our numbers in the library report are part of that, but finding other ways of collecting feedback, similar to having a form, and if we have that available on the website of submit your suggestions or please rate us.
Okay.
So are you saying suggestions for new programming or feedback on?
Even on existing programs, so finding ways, and I don't wanna pigeonhole into a specific way, but possibly under publicizing library programs, is to include a way to where we actively seek feedback from our community. sense?
It
Under
does.
strategy too, we do have create a tool to track attendance and
Attendance.
effectiveness.
Oh, okay,
But maybe it needs to be worded differently
possibly.
to be
So-
broader.
Collect feedback from community on existing programs and ideas for new programs. So, I don't
I'd have to think about the wording.
know, okay.
I'm just wondering about,
And maybe it's enough to say, I'm just,
if you take a look at goal 1, strategy 2, bullet point 3. I'm wondering,
I think that
does
would
that start to get at what you're
suffice.
looking at?
I think that's what I'm looking at, yeah.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
that's where we were struggling with, like, things
Where
were
to
falling
put
into
it.
different buckets.
Correct.
And so,
Alright, thank you. And I think that is worded exactly what I was looking for, thank you.
and what we could add though is I think we say collections and services, but we could throw the word programming in there, you know, as well, just to offer a little bit of clarification.
Library services, collections and programs.
Yep. And then strategy 3 builds on the idea of adding personnel or hours dedicated to library programming. And I think this is one where we felt a little light on actions. So if people have other suggestions for bullet points to be added, I think we are. It's cold in here, isn't it?
I know, you're
An
telling
extra
me,
jacket.
I had my heater on today in my office because I was so cold. That and the jackhammering was perfect, awesome, I was freezing and I couldn't hear myself think, it was great.
Working conditions. So,
Possible working
is there a way for us to like say, you know, see also goal
I
1,
think it's-
strategy 2 or something?
No, I
you
think
know?
it's appropriate, I think it's just more a matter of familiarity and,
Yeah,
no.
okay.
and again,
We know it's in
remembering,
there.
yeah.
Maybe we could reach out to the state or the MLS or CW Mars to see if they have thoughts about, or wordsmithing on creating, adding personnel or
Okay.
increasing hours for programming.
That could be, yeah, that's a great bullet point to add, is to utilizing MBLC for us. How does goal 2 feel?
I'm sorry,
How does goal 2 feel?
cold.
Cold? We could move the meeting outside for a little bit to make it hot, and then come back inside and cool off and come back and forth.
I'm okay with just a couple bullets underneath. Again, I feel like this is the framework off which, and almost serves as like the bones, so it's yeah.
Yep.
We can go above and beyond.
Exactly, yeah. Alright, goal 3 are collections. Hubbardston Public Library follows its collection development policy to provide a balanced and diverse collection for all ages that responds to community preferences and emerging trends, which is the goal. And then strategy 1 is continue to provide a balanced and diverse collection. The word robust is in yellow because we weren't sure if that was the word. We had healthy in there for a while, and so
I like robust, vibrant.
vibrant.
I like that.
Dynamic.
is kinda good because, that's what, that's the
Suggestions,
whole
yeah,
point
yeah,
of
fluid,
things
constantly
coming in and
changing,
coming
right?
out,
Yeah, it's constantly changing.
Multifaceted. I think I use that word on a daily basis to explain my hats.
So the first strategy is kind of relies on like Chris kind of doing the collection development
Mm-hmm.
of things. And then strategy 2 is the idea of being responsive to community suggestions. So not only is Chris kind of being aware of what's happening and making sure we have a good collection, strategy 2 is like, hey, we're gonna hear what our citizens have to say and also, you know, purchase materials based on their preferences too.
I'm just wondering, we have a lot of continue to, which I think is good, because otherwise it seems like we're not doing things already, but are we, I just wanted to ask if we're okay with that.
I'm okay with doing that because I guess in my head, like
I think it
If you're doing
establishes
it,
the
yeah.
action to where we could very easily strike out the word continue on all of these and say instead we utilize, monitor, create, but then it would be almost as if we're starting an action, whereas saying continue to does clearly establish the fact that we already are.
yeah,
And
and
that
there's
we
like,
think
and
it's
there's like
important.
progression and that,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
that, you know, not everything has to be, I think, a
A
brand
new.
new thing that we're doing.
Okay.
I think is important to, it's always important to like, what do we know that's working?
Mhm.
So we wanna continue to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do we need to do that's new?
Mm-hmm.
And then the flip side, which we haven't really done that much, which is really hard to do, is like, what do we stop doing so
Mhm.
we can do the new things?
Mhm.
And so, I think right now, we're still at a point where we can kind of, we don't have to stop doing anything at the moment, but we can add on and continue with what we have,
Okay.
so.
I'm not sure where this would fit, but part of what we have talked about as far as what is a library and what are other libraries doing, some of it comes into like programming of what we're offering through programs, is to research and to continue to develop our collection and program based on trends and what is available. So some of it is research of what other libraries do, and we've heard of other programming elsewhere or through grants and things like that. So I'm not sure, it can come from a variety of different means. But oh, her name's escaping me. She had done the seed program.
Kathy Hansgate?
No, it was a girl. Aislinn?
Heidi.
Heidi. And I've seen that done at other libraries and things like that, and I know her mom's a librarian, and so part of that's continued growth is you hear of one thing and so it spreads. So I don't know if it's appropriate to say research library trends or beyond just collections, but just activities, programs, things like that. And it can include, but I think we already have, yeah.
We have it in collections, but
Yeah.
you're suggesting that it's maybe something that we add into programs under increased programming is to research trends in programming.
We had to survey other area libraries about their programming calendar and budget.
Oh.
But that's under personnel, but maybe we could use that same kind of
I
language.
think same language and just pop that under programs.
Thank you.
Under, we don't really need it under collections, right?
I think we already have it kind of under collections a little bit, with Chris maintaining proactively and being aware of trends, but I think under programs, there's a spot for it,
Okay.
under strategy 1.
Yeah, okay.
Strategy 3 is very new for us. was not in our previous strategic plan, and that's looking at preserving Hubbardston's historical documents and records. So, looking at digital Commonwealth to see if they often will do the digitizing if we send the materials over. It goes into a bigger library, but ways to kind of collaborate with Historical Society and all those documents that are upstairs, you know.
Would we want to specifically include a statement of working with Hubbardston's Historical Society?
I think you had that in earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, but I think it needs to be in here too, because I mean, a lot of stuff is owned by them, right?
Say that again?
A lot of this stuff is owned by them.
What we have up on the mezzanine is not, that's part of
Right.
the library. Anything that's up in the, old Grange room, that is definitely the Historical Society's domain.
But I don't think they'd be opposed to having their records digitized and saved.
I think they gotta get it in kind of, or, you know.
Yeah, order.
But I think we need to
Right,
specifically
so
mention them here.
maybe there's a
somewhere.
bullet point that says like organize and prioritize library and historical society collections for digitization? Is it something like that?
Or working with the Historical Society to explore the
Collaborate
possibility. I don't wanna say that we wanna digitize your
Yeah,
stuff, I
yeah.
wanna say, would this be something that you would be
Yeah.
interested in?
Collaborate with the Historical Society.
Did you say they do that for free?
I think they do, yes. I think Digital Commonwealth, I have to look into it more, but I believe you can send materials to them, they'll digitize it, and they put it into like a bigger collection, but you'll have access to it, right? It's not like they digitize exclusively just for Hubbardston, it goes into a bigger library collection. Cause I have memories of when I was at BC, that we would pull stuff out and they would, either they delivered it, like we took it to them, or they picked it up and they digitized it and then brought it back.
Please don't do your face with my seat.
Oh no, I stay here for all the meetings and I turn into a frigid popsicle, so you're not hurting my feelings at all.
So one thing, like some of this stuff Chris is responsible, but some of this stuff might be the trustees being responsible, so I don't know if we wanna specify, I mean, we have obviously in the last goal, but I don't know if, I just wanna make sure Chris
Okay.
is comfortable with having all these things in here. It doesn't mean you have to do them all on your own.
Right.
Well, the other thing too is I don't have to do them all at once either,
Right,
so,
right.
I mean, this
This
is
is
a
a
5-year
five-year
plan,
plan.
so
Yeah.
I can kind
Right.
of break it out, and get my weekly to-do spreadsheet to be a little more detailed following the strategic plan, so yeah, I'm not,
But that is a good question for you. Would it be helpful if this plan really delineated, like what trustees are doing and what you are doing, or is it
the
okay
action
to have
plan
them-
tends to do that.
Okay.
That I submit annually to the MBLC, so, if you want to do that, that's fine, but, you know, I got a pretty good idea based on what your realms of, responsibility are versus what my realms of responsibility are fairly well delineated, so. I'll be fine, thank you.
It will also serve as we add new materials such as strategy 3, when we reflect in another 5 years. What did not work? How would we change this?
Yep. So strategy 4 is highlighting collections through through media and marketing. You'll notice that's typically a strategy in each of the goals that we've had so far. With like programming, we had like marketing. Goal 1 is, you know, the communication part, so that kind of has been peppered throughout the entire plan, as opposed to having one set goal about marketing and communication. And that was something that I think we had switched around a little bit.
Can I just,
Yeah,
Chris had a question about whether or not digitizing is free or there's a cost to it. And according to their website about the program, there is an excellent opportunity for Digital Commonwealth members to apply for free digitization services from the Boston Public Library. The question is, I don't know how much it costs to join the Digital Commonwealth, so.
There's the
These
cat.
services were originally supported with federal funds from the Institute of Museum and Library Sciences, Library Services and Technical Act, and a grant from the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners.
But there might be grants that we could apply for. This probably isn't a year one goal, but
Yeah,
we could definitely
explore.
work on it.
Yep. Thoughts on strategy 4?
I just had a quick thing. So I went to I always have to differentiate the fair this year, and I did a library table, and I created brochures for all the library passes, and each parent that came to the table got one, and I explained library passes, and I think it really helped because I saw these exact parents come back and take out library passes. I also gave it to each parent at our summer reading kickoff. So just being present at the fair and hopefully field day will help that strategy, I think. So we have you have website tools and all that other stuff, but I think outreach is important there too because a lot of it is word of mouth. A lot of parents don't see it on Facebook or Instagram or stuff like that because their For You page is filled with TikTok and whatever else they're into. But being at these events in face-to-face helps a lot, I think, with marketing.
Is that something we can do in conjunction with the elementary school? Because.
Yeah, so I also tabled at open house.
Okay.
So I did open house. Sorry, I forgot about that one. That was just so far along ago,
Okay.
and now I gotta think about it again because it's coming up again.
Yeah,
Yay.
try to get the kids who don't normally come in or the
Normally
parents.
come into the library. We passed out library card applications. I'll have the brochures again for the library passes and odds and ends. So
Now, one of the things that does happen is that there are a number of school classes that come over
Right.
on an every other week
Right.
basis, so we are getting that access, but that's the children with with the teachers, not the children with the parents. But I am seeing an increase of students who came during the school year coming with their parents during the summer, so.
Good, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
The brochure could also be used when, people come in to sign up for a card. You do such a great job talking to them about, the
You're right, everything that I talk about, I could probably put into a.
Yeah, but I mean, and by the way, we
Pamphlet.
have the museum passes or whatever, we could just maybe use a brochure in that way too.
We could. I kind of enjoy my enthusiasm when I'm like, oh wait, but there's more.
I know, it's great.
it's a great spiel. I
Yeah.
enjoy
Yeah.
listening to it every time.
I think you give the spiel and then be like, in case if you forget anything I said.
Yeah,
There you go.
exactly,
Yeah, you go.
not in
Yeah.
place
No.
of the spiel.
Yeah, not in
Not
place
in
of it,
place,
just like,
just a supporting document.
I just gave you a ton of information, which is really exciting. And then, so that was strategy 4 is marketing. Strategy 5 was just maintaining our consortial relationship with CW Mars. It's just a nod to ensuring that we have continued funding and making sure that people understand what
That
the
relationship
benefits
is.
are
Yep.
to being part of CW Mars. And then strategy 6 was broken out.
May I
Yeah,
make a
or-
suggestion
yes.
to move strategy number 6 below strategy number 4? So that would become the new number 4, because it makes more sense to me that you would say continue to refine the selection of museum passes, then move on to highlighting said
Sure.
collection. Just
So
a
it would
matter of
go-
organization.
So go Hubbardston's historical documents and records, museum passes.
No, I think
highlight
she's saying
collections.
highlight the library collections and then museum passes, right?
I was thinking before highlighting the collections and museum passes, because we have collection number one, we talk about providing the collection, and materials. I would say having just a matter of organization, collection and museum passes, and then talk about highlighting them after having
Oh,
talked about already.
okay.
So what
Provided.
number will it be?
My suggestion would be to have that be number 4, and then the old number 4 highlight would be 5,
Okay.
and then continue to maintain CW Mars would be 6. If you're comfortable with that. But otherwise, I think the points were appropriate.
Goal 4 is building accessibility and interior space. The Hubbardston Public Library will become more accessible to our library users. So, explore options to make the building entrance more accessible for all users.
Do we wanna say funding options? Or is it just,
I just say
Well,
options.
I would say options. It could be
Options, fine.
funding, but it's also could be design function and
Okay.
stuff like that.
okay.
So. Strategy 2 is continue to pursue and offer services that make it easier for users to utilize our collections. Three is explore options for reconfiguring interior space, including use of lower and upper floors of the library. So, goal 4 is, not a ton of strategies and actions, but the ones that are there are hefty.
They are.
They're big lists,
Yeah.
so.
Possibly under strategy 2 of continue to pursue and offer services would be to educate, highlight, and promote other services that make it easier. So
To highlight and promote?
to highlight and promote, offer services that make it basically easier for users, including alternative media, but making sure that people are aware of that, so have a campaign to share.
So different from the continue to provide access, this would be promote.
Oh, wait, not in the goal.
No, it would be a bullet point,
A bullet point within it.
a bullet point under strategy 2.
Okay. Continue to offer and promote. What did you say?
I was just saying under strategy 2, like a brand new bullet point, a
Mm.
third one would be to promote and highlight the services that make it easier.
And then goal 5 is stewardship, and I think we can get rid of transparency, so we move transparency to goal 1.
I would agree.
We did have some transparency stuff down here, and then we moved it up
Yeah, we just
to
had
goal
to
1, so I think.
play with the
So
wording. of
just
that.
goal 5 is stewardship.
Yeah, I think goal 5 stewardship. Library trustees and staff are effective stewards and managers of the library building and its fiscal resources. Strategy 1 being the good stewards.
So I could just take out this where it says strategy 2 there, execute.
Yes.
Okay.
And then strategy 2 is explore opportunities to increase library funding, which is a kind of a remnant from our past strategic plan. But it's still something we should be thinking about. And then strategy 3 is more about the continual professional development of library staff and trustees.
And this link to the census, I can take it out, because I have it in my other one, I just didn't wanna lose it, cause I think we can get a lot of, graphical data on the town that we want to put into the plan.
Yeah, cause what will go into the final plan is, this will be the heart of the plan, but there'll be the planning process, there'll be a summary of the community survey, the demographic data of Hubbardston, and, we might include something about like, kind of incorporating part of our SWOT and SOAR analysis, like what do we identify as our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, what are our opportunities, or what are we excited about, A and R, Yeah, what's the SOAR though, strengths, opportunities, something.
They called it like barriers, and in that one plan we looked at,
Yeah, so.
strengths, barriers, opportunities.
Yeah. So the plan in itself is like, well, this is 5 pages, the actual strategic plan will probably be closer to 10 or 15 pages. So how do you guys feel about it? Like,
I'm
excited,
comfortable with it.
overwhelmed, like enthusiastic, like, eh.
I feel like this has been a natural evolution of the process. I don't feel like anything stands out that I wasn't expecting. And it seems appropriate. I likewise don't feel like anything's missing. And that would
As
be.
newer members to the committee, how does it feel?
I think it's been developed in a cleaner and clearer way than the beginning, just seeing what's happened in the last few weeks. It reads well. As an outsider, when I read it, it sounds, I can understand it.
Okay. That's good, cause our audience is, the community, the town, like it's
Yeah.
got a lot of audiences that we try to focus to.
Everyone here is very close to what you do, but this has been very informative. Cleaning it up has helped clarify it all.
How does it get presented to the town? When and where?
Yeah, so that's a really great question, because when we did the last plan, I don't think we presented it to the town, I think we just posted it. Maybe we didn't even post it, we just had it internally, so I think one of the things we had listed, I think in the communication part, is our goal to be more transparent, right? So I think when we finalize this plan, I think we will maybe try and get back onto the select board docket to kind of go over it with them. Cause we did that in May to kind of fill them in on the process of what we were doing and kind of give them a heads up of what we were thinking and what we're planning to do, so I think we wanna close that loop with them. I also think there's an opportunity, once it's done, it can go out through social media blast, like, hey, we just updated our strategic plan, like, check out to see what we're thinking about for the next 5 years, right? Or there's also the town listserv, that we could shoot it out through there as well. So I would say one of the things we did not do well in our first round was sharing it more broadly, and I think that's something we wanna try and change this time. And having said that, that was the first time we had a plan, so I think we were just kind of like, hey, we got one.
Well, there was a lot of changeover too.
That was
while
true,
you guys
cause
were working on
shortly
it.
after we approved it, Jane left and then you came in,
Yep.
so. And I think it's just kind of a different, I feel like we have more communication with the select board and the town administrator now than we have had in the past, so.
And you have me sitting at the end of the table. You
Yep.
need to get on the agenda, don't worry, I got you. Just give me a date and a time and I'll get.
I'd like to compliment the fact that it's been captured. Down on paper, you can pick at the words a little bit here and there, and we do that endlessly almost. But the heart of it is captured. We have something.
Yes. And it gives us a roadmap of how we want to move forward, which which I think is helpful to Chris, I think, you've mentioned that, and I think it's helpful for us as trustees to be like, this is what we need to be focusing on, you know. Alright, so.
I can say, I just like that we have some really specific things and then some general things. I think it's a good
Yep.
balance.
Yep.
It's not as like, do this, do this, do this.
Right, yeah, and that lessons learned from the first plan, right, like, so, it is a evolutionary process, that's important. Alright, so everyone feels okay with this? Alright, then,
I applaud the subcommittee's due diligence, so thank you.
it's been fun, so, discussion, so ironically, we put in our strategic plan about an interest in, you know, getting, more space, right? And then last week, an email went out about 48 Gardner Road, and so I just thought it might be, I just wanted to take a moment for us to kind of maybe talk about that a little bit and what some of the potential implications might be for us, how we feel about that, and what we feel like we need to do, that if this were to happen, like, if the basement of the library emptied tomorrow, we are not in a position to just be like, hey, we got a basement, you know, we got more space. Like, we have to think through strategically what we want there, what has to happen in order to make that a functioning space for us. So I just kind of wanted to let us have a discussion, a brief, or not brief, I don't want to cap it, have a discussion about your thoughts about it, how we might want to proceed. I know I cannot be at the August 22nd meeting, because I'm going to be out of town. I will try to go to some of the other ones, but, you know, if someone brings up and says, hey, like, if the town clerk leaves the library, like, what does the library wanna do? Like, I feel like we should have some sort of a thought, so.
So Nate and I have talked to Chris, about coming to speak at town meeting and at some of the other meetings as well, to talk about how having the municipal offices in the basement of the library directly affects the library, and if we did depart, what that would mean for the library. And I think the big cornerstone was that the library is opened up to a whole set of funding that we can't apply for right now, because the biggest roadblock is having the municipal offices in the basement, it being a shared space. It's not a library proper, it's got the offices in the basement, and he had me run through all the grants that I intended to apply for but couldn't because of the roadblock of the
Mixed use.
offices, the mixed use, and tally up what we missed out on, and leaving $1 million+ on the table every year is staggering.
But you know, one thing about these grants, and I'm all for it, but it's not just the building, it's a lot of them are matching grants.
A lot of them are matching
And also the
grants.
town has to be, involved. The trustees can't like get this grant and do all this on our own. It has to go through the town as well, and it would most likely require, some funding. So I think I saw it in the FAQ, and yes, it's great, but it's to make it sound like, okay, as soon as they move, we're gonna get all this money is kind of
right, and then
misleading.
but one of the big things was operational grants to cover not just programming, but like to help make the library ADA accessible. We could have applied for it this year. We actually had a grant pay for someone to do it for us, for the town, but we couldn't loop the library in, and that was obnoxious.
Yeah.
I think it's important to not look at the moving of the town offices to another building as a single thing. You have to account for all the ripples in the pond that stone makes. And if someone thinks that they can move and the cost will be fix up that building, the new building by itself, they're wrong. It has to accommodate costs for what happens here, what happens to the senior center, what happens to the bottom of the library, what happens to the parking lot, what happens to the sewage system, whatever changes. So it has to be taken as a systemic or a systematic
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
change and fully planned change. Otherwise, the town will be deceived. It will move 10 offices, and we walk in here and there's a bunch of old empty boxes laying around and a chair tipped over, and you have to pick it up from there. Well, that's not the thing that we have to do.
Right. So that's why I feel like as a library, like if we were to have the basement available to us, like what would that look like? Like, would there need to be additional staffing? Like, would there need to be renovations done to that basement? Like, what would we want to have down there that would be value added to the community? You know, so I think we need to think strategically about that. And that way, if we are asked about it, what is the funding that comes along with
Yeah.
it?
And what does the town want?
Mhm.
Yeah.
We might want a whole new library somewhere.
So my understanding was this first phase is just dealing with trying to purchase this building, and then any moving, like, they said that people that are in there have a 5-year lease.
Yep,
And
the
so,
vet
we're
has
not
a
talking
5-year.
about, like
Yep.
you just
Yeah.
said, we're not talking about like, okay, next year it's
Right.
gonna happen. It seems like it's a longer.
So Tricia is
Timescale.
involved, so she could tell you how
Great.
long the
The phases
Things
are
are.
supposed to last. So the first phase, the most important phase, is the purchase of 48 Gardner Road, and on top of that, making it weather tight to protect the town asset, to make sure that we're not, you know, siding needs to go on, new windows because they're leaking, and a new roof, to protect that building and maintain the good bones that it does have. Because at the base of it, it has really good bones. Nate walked through it with an engineer and building inspectors, and and another inspection will be done, just like a regular house closing, to make sure that we're not buying a money pit. So that's the first phase. And we are working with the businesses that are currently residing in there. They do have a 1-year, 2-year, 3-year, 5-year lease. They're staying, we're not kicking them out. That'll generate income to the town as landlords to then help pay for the next phase, which is moving the town offices and upgrading where the fire is now, so that, you know, down the road, if we have to order, fingers crossed, we don't have to order a new fire truck, but we're not buying a fire truck special because it has to be shorter, because it has to fit in the building on Main Street, which was never meant to be a fire station. So that's the next phase. So it is gonna take some time. We also have to make sure that where we're moving the town offices into is ADA compliant. So that people can come visit me during working hours, cause we're gonna move up to the second floor where the vet is. So the businesses are staying. And some rehab has to be done to be able to move in there. And then the next phase is obviously the bigger renovations, which is probably 2-3 years, 4 years down the line. And searching out those grants, cause it's a heck of a lot easier to get a grant to update a building that needs it than to build a brand new building, cause those grants are they're few and they're far in between, and they go to bigger towns that have a bigger population that are being served by the police and fire department. We're a tiny town. I'm happy to be in our tiny town, but so those phases, it's gonna take a couple of years, but in a year or so, I could see the town offices moved over to 48 Gardner Road.
In a
If
year.
year or more, depending on how quickly we can get things moving. Most importantly, you gotta buy the building, you gotta vote, gotta have town meeting, so.
How is the appraisal process and the financial plan for this
So,
generated?
the purchase of the building completely is within the constraints of the current budget. So there would be no tax impact for purchasing the building.
And they said cause I watched the finance committee meeting, and they said that, we're already paying like $20,000 to $30,000 rent
For the fire.
for the fire department. So, you know, that money would go into the the purchase and the mortgage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that money might be a drop in the bucket or maybe a drop in the pit,
Yeah.
if we're not careful. So, that's a good selling tool. You can do it with your existing budget, is what I think I'm hearing.
Yes.
But that doesn't really get it, that gets you some building
It gets you a building, and then
in its
from there.
present condition.
And its present condition, well, building with brand new siding, windows and roofing, that's all included into phase one. The price.
I shouldn't take this meeting up, I have to go to the other meeting.
Yeah, go to the other meetings, come to the other meetings, there's many scheduled. My calendar is quite full the next couple of weeks. But yeah, we've asked Chris to come and talk about library issues, so anything that you guys, or if you want, one of you wanna come and talk about what this looks like for the library, obviously.
Well, frankly, we were surprised, like, I saw it in the email that went out to the public, we had, trustees had no idea of it.
I think the problem with
I
purchasing.
know it's happened really fast,
It
like, it
happened
was helpful to
so
watch
fast.
that meeting to see that, okay, this hasn't been really going on for months and months.
No,
Yeah.
this was a phone call from the owners and, hey, this is going up for sale / auction, and the town was like, if we can afford it, let's
It was
do
like a month
this.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the problem with the purchase and sales is that,
You've got
Right.
60
It's
days.
just like buying a
It's
house,
really
you
fast.
gotta
you
be
got
on it,
60
yeah,
days,
yeah.
and then if it goes to auction, that's the scary
Yeah.
idea, is that someone could come and buy it, kick the businesses out, cause big
Yeah.
developers have better lawyers, kick them out, and who knows what they would do with it. Put in bedroom apartments, or, cause it's got a nice sewer and water supply, which is rare here in Hubbardston. Water seems to be the biggest issue.
So, I mean, I guess if we were asked, we could say that we would be more eligible for grant opportunities to make the building more accessible and, potentially remodel it, we would be more eligible for that as a standalone library. But I don't know what else we could say beyond that.
Well, I think your caution is the appropriate one. Just because you're
Not
more
free money.
eligible for grant, it's not free.
Exactly. Exactly. In the instance that the library were to become a standalone library, I would want to seek out the opportunities for funding that have been closed to us first and foremost. And then with the most cost effective, I would like to see with what we have, how we could utilize that to make the library services more accessible to our community. And I think having access to that ground floor would literally open more opportunities for accessibility.
With that, I would say, I think there needs to be a formalized concept of what that would look like, right? I mean, we can say, yes, we wanna make the building more accessible, but then what could that basement be used for? And,
Given that
you know,
things are
to
moving.
show that we're showing some strategy and thinking about this thoughtfully.
Has it been asked by the town that the library come up with a? Okay.
No, so I'm hoping we can be proactive in that, so,
Yeah.
cause it's only gonna help when you go for grants, is if you say, this is what we're planning to use the basement for, and why we might need to have it refurbished, and why we might need to have it be more accessible, is that this is kind of the vision we have for what that space could look like. I think
There-
yes, okay.
There were some plans that were drawn up, I don't know that we would like them, but that was one of the reasons to put in on the goals, to look at other historic library buildings and see, what they've done. Cause I was in West Brookfield and they have a really nice children's room on the first floor, but there was no staff down there. I mean, it's hard enough to have two separate rooms, if you have two separate rooms and a downstairs and one person, most of the time, everything goes smoothly, but, it's, they actually have cameras, it says you are under surveillance when you walk in there, that's how they're dealing with it, but it's nice to have more room, but, one person may
But it
not
comes
be
with,
enough.
it comes with additional things we have to think
Additional
through.
costs, yeah.
Right, so it's not
Yeah.
just getting the space, it's then how does that, you're talking about the ripple effects.
Yeah.
And that's the ripple
It goes
effects
on
that
and
we
on.
need to think through. And so I just want us to kind of be prepared and to start thinking about that, like I'm hoping maybe after we finish strategic planning, maybe another project we could start thinking on would be re-envisioning the library space.
Potentially also utilizing something the library hasn't been able to provide, because we just did not have the space available, was offering the community meeting spaces.
Exactly.
And or if, like, walking in underneath where the children's room is, there have been spaces that have temporarily been put up and stuff, but otherwise it was wide open. That would enable us to have larger library programs. And accessibility, again, to not only children, but seniors and things like that, and easy access if this were to remain a senior center or something cross.
We call it,
Paths.
follow the red brick road outside.
Exactly.
When we are giving directions, follow the red brick road to the library.
Well, and
That makes sense.
upstairs, and then, you know, it sounded like we might be getting the heat pumps, you know, so then the upstairs could be used as well.
Yeah.
So I guess I would encourage everybody to go to these meetings,
And
become
it-
more informed, and then hopefully in September or October, we can maybe start a re-envisioning what the library would look like, you know, what we would want it to be.
Would you all like me to email you the data that Nate and I have, that is readily, it will be readily available, so, Mr. Robinson, would
How
you like?
about the meeting schedule?
I can go get.
The FAQ is
out
on
in
the
email.
website.
The FAQ is
Oh,
on the
today?
website, but I
Okay, I
have the
missed it.
meeting schedule, I'll go get.
Well, I'm sorry, I missed that, if it came out.
Yeah, it came out
It
today.
came out, but I can get you a copy right now.
Sure too.
So
I'm
if-
missing my wind blocker. Can I just say
I was
that?
underwater.
I really miss you, Tom.
Am I that wide?
So if we were asked, we would just have to say that, you know, yes, we're excited about the possibility, and, you know, we can definitely look into grants that we weren't previously eligible for, but it would also require a commitment from the town, like the town has to wanna participate in it too. I mean, I don't know the
Okay,
right way to
good.
say that, but.
How
There's
does
more
this,
too. There's like-
Yeah.
potentially link into
It's not
the
like
community
tomorrow.
preservation
So there's like
money
seven- there's like seven
they seem to
scheduled.
hand out
Yeah,
to anybody
good. That's what it's
who's asked
gonna
for it.
take. Can't imagine what the senior center is.
We utilize, community preservation
Yeah.
for roofing, didn't we?
Community
did.
pre- Yes, we did.
I mean,
we
I guess
also
it depends on how much money
we
we
have-
have available, you know.
I can't remember
Right.
which is which, but we have money available from the town for brick
Foundation.
pointing, the foundation.
Lighting.
And the lighting.
And your office.
Okay, can
Oh,
I
it
say,
does include my office? Oh, okay.
I will,
Yeah, we
I
need
will
to
put
work
that
on
as a
it.
goal of if in the instance that it became a standalone library and we were eligible for grants, I believe that may open the door for foundation support,
Or historic buildings.
historic preservation for foundation. It would enable us to
Thank you, I
help
just hadn't read my mail yet.
be better
Thank you very
stewards of the
much.
foundations.
That's what I'm here for.
Oh, foundation, the building foundation, I thought you meant
Literally the
foundation, like money foundation.
no, the foundation, because there were some things that were eligible, or we would have been eligible for, were we a standalone library. And-
There was a historic grant that came across my desk that I shared with Chris from the Massachusetts Historic Preservation Society, and it was only a 5% matching grant, which is
Yeah.
pretty low. Sometimes they're upwards towards 20. This one was 5. To have major repairs done to foundation, accessibility, roofing, because slight roofs are very popular here in New England, though I don't know why.
Can you send that along, cause like
Mhm.
maybe not the next cycle or something, you know, you might be able to be eligible for that kind of thing.
Yeah, some of them are rolling grants too,
Yeah.
that they're open extended, because maybe I don't know if a lot of people apply for them, because historic buildings here in Massachusetts, they are plentiful, but not all of them are libraries or public buildings anymore because of their historic nature, and they are hard to
Yeah.
upkeep.
Yeah, if you have a list of the grants that you identified and can send
Yes.
them to us, that would be great. So,
When you say a low percentage matching grant, who's low, the town or the grant?
No, the grants requirement is low.
The town would have.
Town-
So like
the town
the
contribution is low.
town's
Matches,
portion
though.
is extremely low, cause sometimes they require 20% or 25%, but when you're asking for.
The school was, I think, 85%,
Right,
15% town.
right, so it's nice to see ones that do come across or are not matching at all, they're just, here's your money. Those are nice, I like those.
Alright, so lots to start thinking about for that.
There certainly is an urgency, I think, with the next meeting, August 7th. So if we're gonna do something, it really isn't in November, it's,
Oh, you're talking about the town meeting. I was
Yeah.
like, the next library meetings?
no.
Next
I
week,
mean-
what?
I mean, this issue requires a certain sense of urgency because it seems to be moving right along.
That tends to happen when you wanna sell.
Alright, can I give a road race update real quick?
Yes.
Alright, first of all, if you have not given me your t-shirt size yet, please do so. So as every member of the trustees gets a road race t-shirt.
Question, we don't have to run, do we?
No.
Yes.
No, I do that for you.
We can't run, but we can help, we can't,
No,
we
you
can't
can-
participate, I mean, we
you
can
can
run, but
run.
we are not eligible for prizes.
Yeah.
You can run, you just can't win.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
You can walk,
Chance,
I
yeah.
walked one time.
So just to give Alicia and Chris some context, so the road race is on September 7th. It's the 27th road race. It starts at 9 a.m. sharp, as Chris indicated, and it's on all application forms. Mark Wigler is our road race director. He's been doing this for 27 years. He runs a very effective race. He's got it down pat. We are very fortunate to have him as our road race
This whole family.
leader, his whole family, Mel and Devin. Typically the road race raises about $3,000 or $4,000 a year that goes into our donation account. On road race day, if available, we would like to have all trustees available just to kind of come out and support the race. We do things like work the registration table, we kind of work the food stations, and then the prize table, Chris takes photographs of the racers, as they cross the finish line. So it's a nice event. It's nice, we usually get maybe about, 70 to 90 runners, kind of depending on the year. A lot of them are race day registrations. So if it's nice weather, we do really well. If it's not great weather, we don't do as well. We get prizes from local communities. So after the race ends, Mark will announce the winners, and so the winners all can pick from the prize table. And then after all the winners have been announced, we do a drawing of
Bib numbers?
The bib,
Pick
or
the
they're not
race
bib numbers,
numbers.
but the
The
popsicle
popsicle sticks.
Popsicle sticks. This is a very old school race,
Very old.
so it's but it's low cost, so it works well. So usually about at least half of the people who participate in the race get some sort of a prize. Prizes range from like tickets to the Woo Sox, there's always like a big mirror that's given away, there's a quart of wood, there's jewelry, there's gift certificates, to different restaurants.
all these gifts.
Mark, Mel, and I do, so. And then, so that's like kinda like the prize part, and then we have sponsors, who also sponsor the race, and so they make a financial donation. And then their names appear on the back of the t-shirts.
That's this year's.
So,
I wonder if you're getting a
that is not,
bonita.
this is the 14th annual, so the color of the t-shirt's always a secret until the day of the race.
This is 2011.
So it's a good day. Usually people get there, like trustees will get there around 8 a.m. Typically we're wrapped up by noon, at the latest 11 or noon, between 11 and 12. Because you have to wait for the last person to finish the race before you can do activities. So that's a little bit of the overview. One thing I do want to mention is we did get a new sponsor this year, a $500 sponsor. It is paper crane cannabis. So I just want to make sure that everyone's comfortable with that.
I haven't
It's a
tried
legal,
it.
it's a legal business, you know.
He's
So.
super nice. He was actually surprised that when I reached out, because usually we don't ask them to donate things, so he was super excited. He is the nicest man ever, and him and his wife are great. And his son actually utilizes our library. He's 10.
I was going to say, are they local?
So they don't live here in Hubbardston, but most of their employees do. They've just done some, they're not active in the community because, again, no one reaches out because of, I guess, the optics of a cannabis company, but they're a local business.
Yeah.
So I called them and I said, hey. So it's great.
I'm alright, legal business, donation.
That's what I
I'm
feel like
happy.
too. I think we solicit things from breweries and liquor stores, cause we give away beer and wine too.
Will
at
they
this, so.
perhaps provide prizes?
I don't know, so I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware.
No, they
that we
just
did
grow
do that.
this stuff. They don't do anything with. They send it out to.
They're not a
Others.
dispensary.
They're not a dispenser. Yeah, they just grow the plants and then harvest them for
So-
other people.
You think that needs to go in the minutes? Just that we have this new sponsor?
So we have no sponsor, that's fine. I can also tell you that as of right now, we have $601 in raffle prize gifts. So when I was talking about the prizes that we give away, we've collected some already, totaling about $600. It usually gets up to like 1,000 or 1,200 with like prizes. And then
It's still a month away.
it's still, yeah, I have not done all my work yet, so.
And if we mention the minutes, if we mention one new sponsor, I think we ought to list them all.
Yeah, that's what I was
Because some of them have
wondering.
been faithful to us for
Yeah.
a long time.
Yes, so I can send you the list of
Okay.
who's currently been listed as a sponsor. I'll forward you this,
Okay.
the spreadsheet. But right now, as far as road race sponsors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ones that'll be on t-shirts, so far 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but we'll probably get a few more. I think we usually have like 8 to 10, and then we have some people who donate money, who aren't necessarily on the t-shirts. So, let me just do that math. Donations so far, like financial donations, has been about $2,100. And then we have 21 runners and walkers
That's actually
registered.
gone up.
Okay, it's gone up.
That's gone up.
Okay, so totaling 525. So like, those will come in towards the end. Costs associated with it are t-shirts, cause we do pay for the t-shirts, the plaques that we give out to the winners, so,
Renting the timer.
the timer,
They have a nice time machine that shows you what your time is as you
Mhm.
come in along, so.
yeah, so, anyway, it's a good event, so, so if you are available on Saturday, September 7th, I hope we all.
Or
everyone
at the
can come
center
in.
school.
Yes.
It's out and back.
You can walk it, you don't have to run.
Yeah.
The
I mean, it's
police
a run walk.
close Barry Road up to 62, and then there's water at the end, up there halfway mark, and then you come back. And then when the last group comes in, the police car follows them and opens up the road again. And the ambulance is there as well. So Hubbardston Fire and Hubbardston Police have always supported it, so.
And it's recorded, so Bridget is always there to record the race, so. So anyway, that's the road race update. I forwarded y'all the email about the heat pumps,
Yeah.
so it feels like we're moving forward, so everyone feels comfortable, like,
Provided that nothing, like, okay, we get them and then National Grid doesn't.
well,
No,
I think I will reply to Nate, was like, we are comfortable understanding that the library's not putting in any more money for it. Like,
Exactly.
so, I think we kind of tapped ourselves out with the
Boiler.
so
Yeah.
we can't put
We're
any more
tapped.
money towards it, so. So I'll just, like, as long as he knows that and,
Does long as he's
But there wasn't a money
comfortable strong
proposed.
arming
There was
National
not
Grid.
Energy Grid or the
You mean
grant
him.
funders
Yeah.
said
You
they were
mean
going
him.
to pay for it, so we're not expecting a bill to show up to us, but
For
I will
sure.
just reiterate that
Yes, Nate.
we just wanna make sure that, that no bill is gonna show up at the
We'll also
trustees.
give them a little compliment on breaking the logjam.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, I'm not gonna be like,
Yeah, I thought like
I usually have a little bit of tact. I don't just, I just go and be like, so. And then, is there any update on the, foundation, the new?
I know, nothing.
Okay.
I think
Nothing
he's
new.
putting together an RFP to go
I
out.
saw something over there that had something written down.
Oh.
Okay, so I think there's an RFP
Yes,
going out.
he's prepared a new RFP to go out for bids that is just gonna be focused on the work for the actual foundation, so.
So that is where we are at. Any items you would like to discuss that I don't know about? Not reasonably anticipated by the chair.
No?
Again, good job. And good job on the notes.
Alright, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn at 8:50.
Okay, second, all in favor? Okay, we are adjourned.